Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Cigar Store Idiots. I, of course, am Rob. To my immediate right, we have Andrew.
Hello.
Tyler, how's it going?
I'm here. How's it going?
Right, I'm doing well. And as promised, we teased it. It's happened. We're here. We're in Athens. We're
on the road again.
We're in God's country.
We're in God's country at Terrapin Brewery, and we're here with none other than one and only Spot Buckowski.
Hey guys,
How
thanks
are you,
for coming
sir?
up to Little A-Town.
Yeah,
We're
for
so
having
excited.
us.
We've been teasing this one for a while.
We have been looking forward to this. This is something that we kind of batted around a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, how incredible would it be to be able to get up here and talk to you and talk beer with the man. So here we are.
Excited, super excited.
So what's going on? What's going on in Athens right now?
Man, kids are back in school, just waiting for some football, and just hoping to stay out of the path of the COVID, right? So, we are still closed here at the tap room, but, just getting out there and selling a lot of canned beer, guys. I mean, as you know, the on-premise is slowly coming back, but gosh, if it wasn't for grocery and package and all that kind of stuff, man, it'd be a different world out there. So we're just really happy that we're moving some beer through that channel, selling a lot of packaged beer.
And thank God you've got the strong variety packs, things like that. That they're just killing.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. I mean, we've got a great lineup in all of our variety packs and our 12 packs and stuff, and it's just been, like I said, it's tough to keep up, man. And then you got the can shortage. I mean, we're doing okay because we pre-order months in advance, but I look around the industry and people are crying for cans.
Yeah,
Big time.
Crazy.
And it's not just the beer industry. Coke, Pepsi, everybody's in trouble.
Without a doubt.
And that's one thing that you look at too. You talk about the can shortage. When in a million years would you ever think there would be a can shortage? In the industry that I'm in, I actually own a roofing company. Mm-hmm. There's a shingle shortage, a worldwide shingle shortage. So you can imagine what the hurricane that just hit Louisiana is doing to us right now. So, but those are just unheard of events that's going on that we're all having to make adjustments and keep things rolling. So yeah.
And all these people that are staying home doing those home projects, like all this the wood, shortage of wood.
Correct.
People are trying to build decks, can't do that. I mean, it's pretty crazy how when you look at something like a pandemic, what comes up, what goes down. What industries flourish. It's just so bizarre. I mean, I've never been through this in my lifetime as well as you guys, right?
Yeah,
so you kind of look around and go, oh, wow. You mean Peloton and all those crazy fitness things that are happening at home, those things are going crazy because no one wants to go out, but they want to work out. Right. I'm not walking into a gym with 150 people running around.
Right.
So all that shit's going up. So it's it's interesting. Just, knock on some wood here that the beer industry is still alive and we're still rocking and rolling, but just in a different capacity.
It is definitely a recession-proof business. I think so. No matter how hard times get, folks are drinking beer. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for the Braves to be playing in front of fans because we look at it as a sampling opportunity.
Yeah.
We've got 40,000 people, 42,000 people going to see the Braves game. We've got a brewery down there, and without fans, it's a little tough.
And man, we missed it. We have missed it so much this year.
And if you haven't been down to Truist Park where the Braves play, and you haven't been down to the Battery and hung out at the Terrapin place there, it's so great. And
awesome.
The food is great.
Yeah.
Not just the beer.
Without a doubt. Fox Brothers Barbecue, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
not
number
just
one.
the beers. The beers
beat
speak for themselves, but the food is phenomenal there.
Yeah. And then we go back to you were talking about, you were asking if anybody had been through anything like this. So we actually had spoke to a gentleman. We had helped him out with his project. He's in his 90s. He has fought in World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. Jeez. And we had the conversation with him, and he this guy's seen everything and been through everything, and he says that what we're dealing with right now is something that is unforeseeable, even for somebody that's been through all those things. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've got a 91-year-old dad. He'll be 92 in November, and he is going stir crazy. I mean, he lives in assisted living, but he's like a 70-year-old, 90-year-old. They let him drive his truck as long as he promises not to get out. he hates the food there, so he's like, well, I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken tonight. He's going to Dunkin' Donuts, sneaking out, doing that sort of stuff. But, I bought him like one of those under the table elliptical thing, those pedal bikes for under the table. I'm just trying to keep them moving.
Right.
Because once they start, they stop moving, it's a different deal.
That's exactly right. It is. That's exactly right.
I mean, I feel bad for a lot of people. How about the parents? They're sitting home with 3 kids. Holy, talk about pulling your hair out.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I have zero patience, so that's not something that I would. I don't wish that on anybody.
Well, and
have to homeschool kids.
That's so important for school to start back because school kids need structure. So let's get them back in school. Let's try to make this work.
And looking at another way too, a lot of kids in certain areas, living in the United States, that lunch they get is pretty much the only meal they're getting all day.
That's right.
So it's good. I see the community that we live in. They're stepping up and they're doing the food boxes and things like that. So it's kind of a positive thing to look, that's going on around where we live. So
hey, that's an idea. Instead of a juice box, I mean, college, if you're of age, you get a little Terrapin with your lunch.
There you go.
What do you think of that? That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a recruiting tool.
Look, hey, I think that is a great idea. That is a great idea. Well, look, I wanted to talk to you a little bit. What we were excited talking about is Spike. Tell us a little bit about you, man. Tell us a little bit of the backstory on Spike. We want to know
who is Spike.
Man, the $1 million question. I mean, really, just if you're talking beer in general, the first beer that I ever had, I remember working. I was a teen. Was I a teen? Yeah, it must have been. I was definitely underage. So I was working at a pharmacy. And the pharmacy not only sold drugs and things like that, but they also sold liquor and beer at this pharmacy. So I got the bright idea. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try beer, right? So I was like 16, 17, whatever I was working there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick the most expensive beer, and I'm going to sneak downstairs. I'm going to drink it soon because we had a stock room downstairs.
Because it's got to taste the best.
Yeah, the most expensive.
Right. So, top shelf.
So, lo and behold, I pick Guinness Stout, right?
Oh, that's a great starter beer.
So you can just imagine me as a kid grabbing this thing, thinking I got the Holy Grail. I go downstairs and I'm just like,
it does not taste like chocolate,
And the rest is history. Now I'm a brewer, right?
Right. So that's hilarious.
So where are you at? Where are you at when this happens? Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in New Britain, Connecticut. And this was at Miller's Pharmacy in New Britain, Connecticut. Probably not even there anymore, but that's how I cut my teeth on beer, was with a Guinness Stout. But, the whole thing, or the whole history behind me, I graduated college. I went to Southern Connecticut State University. And, when you're 17, 18 years old and they get you in the room and go, okay, kid, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? I'm like, I don't know. And they're going down, well, we can do this, and you can do a math teacher, or you can, go into this field or that field. And they go, communication. Communication, what does that mean? Well, we got a TV and radio curriculum, and it's called Corporate Video Communications. I'm like, well, shit, that sounds like fun, right? So I go in there, and I graduate 4 years later with I think I had like a 3.5 in corporate video communications.
Nice.
Like, what the fuck are you going to do with that? so I graduate, and my best buddy and my college roommate moved out to California, and I moved from New Britain, Connecticut, down to Florida. I was living right outside of Orlando in Lake Mary at the time, and take a kid from Connecticut where you had 4 seasons and put him in freaking Orlando, Florida, where there's just one season and it's called hot.
Yeah. That's right.
I just couldn't dig it. I was there for about a year and a half, and I had a fraternity brother who lived in Georgia. Mm-hmm. So I moved up to Georgia in 92. The year before, that's when the Braves went from worst to first in 91. So I got here right at the tip of all of that.
You got here at the best baseball time of my life. So,
God, Glavin, Smoltz,
we'll never see that again.
Blauser.
Never see that again.
All those guys are just fantastic. Going to Buckhead every weekend in the 90s, just getting hammered on fucking grain trains from some kind of, God, I don't even remember what the hell that bar was that made all those crazy Slurpee drinks.
What was that?
Fat Tuesday.
Fat Tuesday. Yeah.
Dude.
Which one was the one where they had the girls swinging in the swings, like in the window?
Was that the one called The Bar?
Yeah,
Could have been.
I was too drunk.
Dude,
I don't remember.
I just black out every night.
Right.
So you know, I was basically pushing audiovisual carts around hotels at the time. I graduated the corporate video communication degree. I moved up to Atlanta, and you know, my buddy out in my college roommate, when he moved out to California, we talked, you know, every couple weeks or so, and he's like, "Hey, Spike, have you ever tried home brewing before?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you can make beer at home." I'm like, "Sweet."
You're like, I tried a beer in Connecticut one time, and it was terrible. I'm not doing that.
Does it have to taste like that? So I started playing around because the cool part was right when I was talking to him about home brewing, my current roommate at the time, we moved into a house. So when we moved into the house, there was a basement, which was kept really cool, and it was just a nice environment to, you know, ferment beer. So I started brewing back in '93, about a year after I came to Atlanta, and started brewing. And I guess I was kind of good because I entered some home brewing competitions and, you know, won some medals and all that kind of stuff. And then and I'm like, you know, I don't feel like pushing audiovisual carts
around, no doubt.
around, you know, hey lady, your bulb burnt out in your overhead. You need me to change it? It's just, I didn't see that career path taking off too much, you know. So in 1996, you know, I was doing kind of my research on, you know, where to go to brewing school. So of course I had to call my dad and go, hey, you remember all that money you sent me for you know, to go to college? You think you can break off another 10 grand so I can go to brewing school? So in 96, I went to American Brewers Guild out in Woodland, California, and it was an offshoot of Davis. It was Michael Lewis started this little thing out in Woodland, California called American Brewers Guild. Went out there in 96, and then, you know, started my professional brewing career in 1997. And this was at a brewery that's still open today called Atlanta Brewing Company. They're actually, I'm pretty sure they are the oldest brewery in Georgia. They've been around forever. So I was brewing there, and that's where I met my business partner, John Cochran. Mm-hmm. And actually, Terrapin started with 3 founders.
Okay.
And it was myself, John Cochran, and another guy named John. And how we got the idea was, speaking of the Braves, it was Braves opening day. And my boss at the time, the other John, said, hey, why don't we go catch the Braves game? We'll go on a field trip, and, you know, we'll take everybody out to the Braves game. So we go see the Atlanta Braves. Well, the next day, we come to work. Well, the owner of the company really wasn't too happy that we took off to go to Braves opening day. So he reamed my boss out, John, at the time, and then he proceeded to hand us 3 rollers and 3 buckets of tar, and we tarred the front parking lot of the brewery.
Oh, my God.
So we're like, well, screw this guy. We'll start our own brewery.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just a joke.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, well, we're working here, but we're going to start our own brewery. And then the more we kind of thought about it,
who's to say we can't?
Yeah, and we're like, we can do this. And we kind of kicked around a few names, and the guys were kicking around shitty names. And I came up with Terrapin, you know, because I used to follow the Dead in college, and then, you know, up until Jerry died, of course, and, you know, I've had about 3 or 4 ponytails in my life, and you know, we said, okay, Terrapin Beer Company, or Terrapin Brewery, and I'll never forget it. So John, my business partner, John Cochran at the time, bought a book, and in the book, you would read a chapter, you would answer questions at the end of the chapter, and it was building your business plan. So when you were done reading the book and answering all that questions, boom, you had a business plan. So we spit out a business plan, and we're like, okay, great, we got a business plan, but who reads this stuff? I mean, what do you do next, right? So I said, well, I guess we got to get a collection of some money to get a logo, to get a LLC, or wherever, you know, whatever direction we wanted to go. And John and I put in I don't even remember what it was, $1,000 or $2,000, and the third John just never came up with the money. So we're like, we had to part ways. So John and I said, okay, and then we went after funding, And this was about 1999 or so, 2000-ish. And the problem was it was all internet. It was all venture capital looking for people that were putting internet stuff together. And they're like, wait a minute, you want to build a brewery? So this isn't like a virtual brewery that you have in your basement. You want brick and mortar?
They're actually making beer.
Yeah, no. So, and back in 98, 99, that was kind of the tail end of craft. Craft was on the downswing at that point, so we were getting in at the worst time. So, we were tooling around and just twiddling our thumbs, and nobody was going to give us any money. So what John did, John actually left the brewery, Atlanta Brewing Company, and he went to work for a distributor because he's like, I got to know the ins and outs of distribution, which was a great plan. So he went to work for a distributor, and I left, and I was building a brewery in Midtown Brewing called Black Bear Brewing Company. So what we did was, it was like, okay, we're building a brewery, right? It's not our brewery, but we were going to start contracting at Black Bear. So we redid our business plan again, and we're talking to people like, hey, once this brewery gets up and running, we'll be brewing Terrapin, this and that and the other. Well, probably about 3 months before Black Bear was ready to open, they ran out of funding, and that was it. So we're like, shit. So we redid the business plan again, and we're looking for, back at that time, we were looking at about $1 million, $1.2 million to get off the ground. So we're hitting the streets again, trying to talk to people and all this crap, and then September 11th happened.
Oh, my God.
Man.
So, we were 4 or 5 years into trying to open a freaking brewery, and nothing was happening. So I finally looked at John, I'm like, you don't want to send your kids to college or nothing, right? So we literally rubbed our credit cards together, and we started contract brewing. And we bought all our raw materials, and we started brewing at Dogwood Brewing Company. And this was, I think it was about the third brewery that ever happened in Georgia was Dogwood. I'm pretty sure it was Atlanta Brewing Company, Marthasville, Dogwood, and Sweetwater, of course, came. But anyway, started brewing 2002. Distribution only in Athens, right? We always knew we were going to put our brewery in Athens, and we started in 2002 draft only selling Terrapin beer. It was rye pale ale, right? So
Hell of a name, by the way. Great branding.
Great branding, right? So we start selling this rye pale ale in 2002. And just imagine this, okay? So we're only in Athens, Georgia, and John and I remember this, every Friday and Saturday night, we would go and we would talk to the bartenders and we would talk to the bar owners, and we walk in there and we'd be like, hey, Spike and John from Terrapin, want to know if you want to sell our beer here? And they're like, Terrapin? Are you guys from Maryland? No,
yeah, I didn't think about
that.
No, we're actually from Athens, Georgia, right? And this was after we started brewing in Maryland, right? So we're like, no, we're an Athens, Georgia company, and they're like, okay, well, where are you guys brewed? Maryland. So it was kind of crappy, because here we are contract brewing, because when we went to Dogwood, right, and the beer was taking off because in 2002, we were brewing at Dogwood. And then I think 3 or 4 months later, we won Best Pale Ale in the world at the Great American Beer Festival.
That's
right?
unbelievable.
Amazing.
Or in the country, actually. So
how blown are you away at this point? You're like, holy shit.
The funny part is that, I had been in Germany, right? So I came back from Germany. I came back from Oktoberfest, and I was like unpacking, doing laundry. And the guy who was brewing at Dogwood at the time calls me because he was out there, and he's like, "Hey, Spike, you just won Best Pale Ale in the country at the Great American Beer Festival." I'm like, "Shut up, dude! I'm jet lagged. Right. I'm doing laundry." I'm like, "Get the hell out of here!" But no, really. So that's when it all happened. I mean, once we won that Best Pale Ale in the country, then the phone was just ringing off the hook, going, "We want your beer. We want your beer." And I'm like, we are, at that year, I think we brewed like 200 barrels of beer.
Unbelievable.
So that was the deal. So we were basically taking off, and we pushed Dogwood to their capacity, and we basically had to look up and down the East Coast to try to figure out where we were going to brew. And that's when we started brewing in Frederick, Maryland, at Frederick Brewing Company. And then we came out with the Terrapin Cream Ale, because I'm a Yankee, right? So I'm Connecticut, Jenny Cream, Little Kings.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, let's come out with a cream ale. Well, that went over like a fart in church because basically people down south, they had no clue what a cream ale was.
No.
They're like, is that real thick and heavy?
Yeah.
So that really didn't do well. But we won best cream. Well, we won a silver medal 2 years later in 2004. We won a silver medal at the World Beer Cup for best cream ale. And the problem was there was no gold medal awarded that year because sometimes they do that shit. So technically we brewed the best cream ale in the world because we won the silver and there was no gold awarded. Or we brewed a half-ass one and they felt sorry for us. But anyway, so our little tagline after 2 years was 2 years, 2 beers, and 2 medals. So 2004.
So your confidence is there for sure.
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, we were kicking ass, but we were tiny. I mean, come on.
But you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I was like, okay, we can do this, right? So we started getting distribution in Atlanta. So that was starting to take off. I think our first outer market was Asheville. We finally crawled into a brewery, right? So Sweetwater picked up and moved, and they sold their brewery to a brewery called Zuma Brewing Company. And they brewed Mexican lagers. It was like, this is testing my memory here. It was an amber lager, and it was like more of just like a standard Mexican lager. And they were way ahead of their time. It just never took off. Their beers were decent, but they weren't doing too well. So John and I made a proposition, said, hey, we'll brew your beer there, but we want to make payments so we can buy all this equipment. So after a while, they just went away, and we took that equipment, which was the original Sweetwater equipment, and we moved everything up to Athens. So that was 2000. About 2006, we transferred everything up here. We finally got some investors in. And in 2007 was the first batch of beer that came out of the Athens brewery in Terrapin.
Gotcha.
So
in 2007, your first batch in Athens, and what's your parameter of distribution and people drinking Terrapin at the time?
Yeah, at that time in 2007, Atlanta, Athens, and probably Asheville.
And that was 2007. So now we're 2020. How many states are you in?
21 or 22? I think it's 21. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's to quote the Dead, it's been a long, strange trip.
Yeah.
I mean, really, and just watching the beer industry. I mean, I got in 96, 90. I mean, if you want to call it professionally, 97. Just to watch everything that's happened over the years, it's been pretty dynamic and pretty crazy. I mean, we started out, like I said, when the craft brewing industry was kind of in the tank.
Yeah.
The numbers were actually going down, and then just obviously getting through the boom and all that kind of stuff. And it's been crazy. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
No way.
I mean, our story, I think, is one of those romance stories where,
no doubt,
two guys start with a credit card, get the brewery going,
win a couple of awards.
Well, a couple of awards.
Our beer's better than everybody else's beer.
God,
I mean, it's true. It's what it is.
Well, thank you. And and just the tough times where trying to. I mean, we were going through a hostile takeover. We had to wrestle the company back away from our original investors. I mean, there was shit going down that a lot of people don't know, and John and I really have to write a book.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all
you do need
peaches
to write a book.
Peaches and cream, man. We went through some hard times.
Well, I can tell you what everything that you've told me is nothing short of a great American success story.
That's right. Yep.
That's what our country's built on. As guys like you that no matter what life threw at them, whatever obstacles you had, you overcame them, and you came out. In our opinion, you came out on top. You're doing well. So
I think great. So. And we used to say this all the time. It's like when people said no, we would go under, around, over. There was no no. There was no no. And now just being in the position that we're in, and John has left. He's been gone for about 3 years or so, but I couldn't be happier, man. We've got a great bunch of people here. I mean, from management to accounting to sales to all the guys who are just kicking ass out and back, and it's kind of the unsung heroes, right? You just, if people, it's so sexy, it's so cool to be a brewer and blah, blah, blah. walk a mile in my shoes.
Yeah,
I mean, I
right.
don't anymore. I mean, if I went out on that floor and tried to move hoses around, they would kick my ass. They would be like, "What are you doing back here? Just get out of here.
Get out of the way."
You know, I'm the crazy.
It's not easy work.
Yeah, no, hell no. I'm the crazy uncle that like I talked to my head brewer Brandon the other day. I'm like, hey, I'm going to Chateau Elan and I'm picking up muscadines. I'm coming back with 100 pounds of muscadines, and you're going to put them in this little tank, and we're going to transfer beer on it, and everything's going to be cool. And he's like, what the fuck, man? Are you kidding me? So I throw him all these curveballs, and he's going like, you know, there's going to be bacteria on those muscadine skins, and it's going to be a re-fermentation in the tank, and then we're going to have shit all over the place. And I'm like, dude, just do what I say. I'm doing it. I just want to make this happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And I throw them so much shit, and then it's just, you know, I'm the fucking nutty professor out there, basically.
It's down to a science, right?
It is. Well, I mean, the science and a little luck, too. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I literally drove a half hour away and picked up 100 pounds of muscadines, and I put Los Bravos that is still fermenting on these Los Bravos skins, on these muscadine skins, just to see what's going to happen.
And you have no idea what's coming out.
I have no fucking clue what's going to happen.
Yeah, but that's
You
the
know?
fun in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we can call you the Willy Wonka of the beer world. I like it though. Jesus,
Whoa, I'm
that's
spilling beer.
great.
That's not far off.
No,
Yeah,
that's
it's,
great.
you know, I love fooling around with stuff. I've got, I just did, I'm playing around with those Kvik strains, however you say that, the hot strains up in Norway.
Yeah.
And you can ferment these things at like 85, 90 degrees. And they're fantastic yeast. It's really, really cool. So I've been playing with those, and just, you know, we went through a lot of different stuff, and that's the beauty of having the brew lab. So I don't know if you guys know that we revamped the rec ale, right? So rec ale used to be 4.7% ABV. You know, it was about 45 BUs and all that, and it was doing okay, but it needed a little refresh. So about a year or so ago, we said, well, how about the whole better for you space, right? Less than 100 calories a serving, right? I mean, lower the alcohol and all that, and it's really nice. I've never had a pilot brewery. So having the brew lab down at Truist Park has been fantastic because, you know, just doing stuff like that and reformulating recipes and you know, doing it at a 5-barrel increments is just so much nicer to go, okay, let's try this at 100 barrels a pop.
Yeah.
Right.
And you've literally got a test. It's like a test laboratory there that you're actually making money on, which is even more genius.
Right. It's and the cool thing about it is, you know, what's selling. Right, so Los Bravos was one of our best sellers down there. Right,
it's a great logo, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt.
It is
you know,
great beer too.
Yeah,
Easy to drink.
Yep, easy to drink. Great Mexican lager, and you know, obviously brewing it up here. And I'm so just heartbroken that the Braves aren't playing this year because we would have sold a ton.
They're
of
playing,
Los
but
Bravos.
nobody's seeing them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so
we're gonna plug it for you.
Yeah, the beer has been fantastic. Just an easy to drink crusher. And I'm a crispy boy, man. I just love pilsners. I love lagers. I mean, always have. And don't get me wrong, I like it all. But I mean, to be truthful, my desert island beer is unfiltered Pilsner Urquell in the basement of Pilsner Urquell, and it's just fantastic because you can't hide behind those things. Right. You can't hide behind a Kolsch or a Pilsner or a Fest beer. If there's any flaws in that, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I can teach a monkey how to brew a freaking IPA. I mean, yeah, just throw more hops in it, man. It really sucks, but you know, the more hops you throw in it, you know, no one will notice.
Burn the tongue more.
And that's, you know, if I'm going into a new brewery or a new brew pub and there's a Pilsner or a Kolsch, I'm going straight to that because if you can't brew that, I don't even want to try the other beers. You know, so
it's interesting.
I like. To me, a bigger challenge is to actually take a beer like a Kolsch beer. We were just talking about our Tree Hugger, our alt beer.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm drinking. It's good.
So you know, I went over to Germany, went to Cologne, and went to Dusseldorf. I love Kolsch beer, and I just got really inspired by both styles, Kolsch and alt beer. Came home. Thought of this recipe. I actually wrote the recipe flying back from Dusseldorf, flying back from Germany, wrote my alt beer recipe. Boom, came over here, brewed it. We won best freaking alt beer at the JBF. I don't remember what year it was. And then we won a bronze in Germany. If I'm going up against German brewers and I got a bronze, hell yeah.
Take it all day.
You know, so to me it's more challenging to try to nail a style than it is to just brew an IPA, which I love IPAs, but I want to try to hone in on something where you've got 4 ingredients and that's it.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, dude. I love brewing wake and bake. I love brewing French toasted wake and bake, white chocolate moo-hoo, all that fun stuff.
The moo-hoos are so good.
But at the end of the day,
are.
for me, the challenge is, can I actually make a traditional Kolsch or Pils or Alt or something like that?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. So what beer has been the hardest for you to perfect? In other words, what's the biggest challenge for you?
You're going to laugh at me. I personally have never been 100% happy with my golden ale. I'm just going to get out there and say it. I always, that beer has probably changed a half a dozen times over its life. I don't know. It's just, that's the one that I'm just like, yeah, it's okay, but it can be better.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay, but it can be better.
And that's a good thing.
I'm my own worst critic.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
And that's what kind of freaks me out. And if I walk into an establishment and I taste something that is just not even stylistically, but just awful,
Trash.
whether it's got diacetyl or acetaldehyde or whatever, and I look around and I'm just like, wait a minute, you guys are serving this to the general public. You know what good beer is supposed to taste like.
And it's not this.
And it ain't it. I mean, if you don't know what a Sierra Nevada or a Founders or a Terrapin or something that's consistent all the way through, if you're not trying to brew and build a beer better than those, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and it's unfortunate. And I get that less today than I did 10 years ago. But that was my only. I mean, I'm my own worst critic, and I will always try to perfect that beer.
That's why your beer's always going to come up on top.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
I mean, we
That's
sure
the
do
reason.
try, and it ain't easy, especially when you grow. I mean, I remember when the first 10 years of the business, I didn't even let anybody dry hop my beers. I mean, but I had to start pulling away because as we got bigger, I couldn't.
You didn't have the time for it.
Didn't have the time, didn't have the energy. It was just crazy. So now, I think we've got over 100 people, working, sales and, in the brewery and shipping and logistics.
I can imagine.
I don't want any part of that.
No doubt.
I mean, Andre over there is just, rocking and rolling with, shipping to 35, 40 different distributors. I don't know how he keeps all that straight.
Yeah.
So
I got somebody for that.
You got somebody for that?
Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't trade it, man. I wouldn't trade what John and I did, building a brewery on a credit card. Now, granted, fast forward, 10, 15 years when I turn around and going, holy shit, these guys just rolled up and dropped $10 million on a brewery. Fucking get on you.
Yeah,
do that.
right.
And I didn't get it. That's not how we were. That's not how we got into the business. I'm jealous as hell. There's some beautiful breweries out there that are 1 or 2 years old, and I don't know where the hell they got their money, but awesome. We just didn't do it that way.
Yeah, but are they winning awards in Germany?
Yeah, I mean, and granted, I'm not saying their beers aren't bad, but for me, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Right? And I just appreciate it. Not that they don't, but John and I scratched and clawed for everything we got. And for me, it's just, I just appreciate what we've built.
Right.
Yeah.
I really do.
And I
really
believe the people that drink your beer appreciate you guys too.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I mean, there's a reason.
There's a reason why you're doing what you're
That's
doing.
right.
Yeah, no doubt. And
knowing where you came from is something you'll never forget, and it's something that makes you who you are today.
Yeah, and just to get into the brewing industry or the craft brewing industry at a time where
It was dead.
it wasn't probably the best time to get in. Like I said, it's been fun, and now with Dustin at the helm, being president of the company, and we've brought in our whole Terrapin initiative, and we've got solar on the roof, and we've got a wastewater treatment facility, and giving back to the community. I mean, it's just we're clicking, man.
Yeah.
It just feels
Everything's
really
coming
good.
together.
Yeah, it feels really good to serve our community and use solar power. And we've got a wastewater treatment facility, and just our initiative of doing that with Terrapin and brewing the beers that we're brewing right now, yeah, we're in a good stride. Really, really good stride. I'm really proud and happy about our people and what we're doing here.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Andrew, we had talked a little bit about this. So we know everybody's going, all the beer companies, the beer industry is going hog wild with the seltzers.
yeah.
Okay.
Buck wild.
I mean, it's insane, going crazy.
Yeah.
Where do you see Terrapin in the seltzer world? And is that something you've even thought about?
We actually brewed one down at the Brew Lab. I don't know. That space has been overcrowded for the past year or two. I mean, if you didn't get into that a couple years ago, and I'm not knocking it. I mean, there's some good seltzers out there, and there's some craft breweries that are doing seltzers. But
that was my thought. You've seen craft brewers doing it.
Yep.
And there's some guys that are late to the game. Even big brewers. Coors just released theirs.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
So my thought was, wonder if Spike's thinking about a seltzer.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, I appreciate
respect
them.
you for that.
And I can drink.
I don't hate them.
I can drink one, especially if I'm on the lake or something.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not against it, but I don't. No one's calling me on the horn, going, "We got to do one."
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. I like beer.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know?
gonna tell you. It's a little funny story of mine. Andrew and I have been friends since middle school. We've known each other forever.
At least that.
And he's like, "Oh, we put this new beer out. We're selling this new beer called Terrapin. It's great, Hopsecutioner."
It's a true story.
And I was like, "Oh, really? Well, I'm gonna go check it out." So I run down my local little package store and I see the packaging and I'm like, "Man, that's so cool." I got a 6-pack. Go to the house. It's in the summer. 98 degrees, and I got to cut my grass. Okay.
Oh boy,
that's not really a beer you want to cut grass
No,
in.
no.
I drink them all, and I cut the grass.
Oh,
and it looked like Ray Charles had got a hold of my yard. I don't know how I didn't get a DUI on my lawnmower.
Oh man!
And I got way too close to the Yellow Jacket hive that I was always conscious of when I was not 6 beers in. So yeah, I'll never forget.
No, you're leaving out the funniest part of that story.
Go ahead and tell it.
I'm going to tell it.
Just tell it.
I'm going to tell it. So
Just tell it.
his wife at the time
Yikes. Number
says
2.
she's nice enough to be bringing him beers. He's
Yeah.
just cutting grass.
I'm like,
she's
honey.
cool about it. Can you get me another Terrapin? So on one of these trips, bringing the Hopsecutioner, which there were several,
Yeah.
she comes out and she says, "Rob, do you realize you're cutting the neighbor's grass?"
Yeah, I was cutting the neighbor's grass. I'm not even kidding. I was cutting the neighbor's grass. And here's even a better one. I don't even know.
He calls me. He says, "Fear the turtle."
Fear the turtle. That was like straight up. Nobody's hashtagging back in those days, but
Right.
if they did, it was fear the turtle.
Fear the turtle.
Look, I literally cut. We had an airport, small airport near the area we lived in too, and I was like, it'd be cool. It'd be cool if I cut my name in the grass in the backyard and everybody that flew over could see it. So, yeah, I dropped the blade down to 1.
Oh man!
I in cursive wrote my name Rob in the backyard. It's
On
crazy.
Hopsecutioner.
That's what happens when you drink
Hopsecutioner.
Hopsecutioner.
You
God.
don't cut grass on Hopsecutioner,
No.
my friends.
No,
No.
that beer.
It's a great beer.
It's pretty crazy because that beer, gosh, we'll be 19 years old next year. That beer's been around 15 years or so, and that is our number 1 selling beer. And I am so pleased with that because it's not a freaking hazy, juicy,
No.
whatever you want to call them, IPAs. And don't get me wrong, I make one, right? So we make high and hazy. I get it. But to me, that is just an old school classic IPA.
It is.
And it just boggles my mind that every year those sales grow.
Man.
And it's pretty cool. And a backstory on that is that is probably, I think that is the only beer that Terrapin has never named. So how that story goes
What do you
is
mean never named?
we name all of our beers, right?
Yeah.
That beer was not named by a Terrapin employee. So when I lived in Smyrna, Georgia, my buddy Johnny Dollar, he had a pool, right? So basically every Sunday was open house. Anybody can come over to Johnny's house and float in the pool. If it was during the week, he had a call or let him know what's going on. So Johnny and I got there early that one day, and we're floating around. We're smoking cigars and smoking other things that we probably should or shouldn't be smoking, and just hanging out. And Johnny's floating out there, and he wasn't a big IPA guy. And he goes, I remember he's smoking on his big stogie. He's like, hey, Spike. He goes, I don't like any of them hoppy beers, but you brew one and you name it Hopsecutioner. I'm like, oh. Like, all right, that's kind of cool. And, dude, I've gotten so many stupid beer names over the years, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to file that one away.
They're all pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
That's some creativity behind that.
Right.
So he goes, I don't want any royalties or nothing, but I just want on the package, I want on the label, I just want a little $sign. I'm like, all right, Johnny. So anyway, a year or two goes by, whatever, and that was our third beer. We come out with Hopsecutioner. So Johnny was a bartender at Soho at the time in the Vinings, and I walk in with a case of beer, just right off the line. Just take it, go over there, pop it up on the bar, and he goes, oh, you got a new beer, huh? And he looks at it and he goes, oh, it's an IPA. Not one of my favorites. I said, you don't freaking remember, do you? He goes, whoa, Hopsecutioner. Yeah, I remember. And I said, what'd you want? He goes, what? I said, what did you want on the label? I said, I'm not paying you any money, but what did you want on the label? He's like, a $sign. To this day, every bottle or can, there is a gold little $sign for Johnny Dollar on the Hopsecutioner can.
Man, I never knew that.
Now I've got to go find one.
There is a little $sign on that.
That's too great.
See, that's why we're here. I want stories like that.
Yeah, so cheers to Johnny Dollar.
Yeah, cheers to Johnny.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Johnny.
Absolutely.
Johnny Dollar.
Yeah.
I'm going to retell that story.
That's freaking awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
What beer are you most proud of?
Rye Pale Ale. Not that we make it anymore, but actually it's coming out next year. But, that was one of those things where everybody thought I was freaking crazy for putting rye in a beer.
Yeah.
And how that all happened was...
I remember when it was the flagship beer for Terrapin.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, starting out in the Southeast in 2002, putting your first beer out as Rye Pale Ale, I mean, holy cow, it was almost suicide, right? Because people really didn't understand what that... And back then, that was a pretty aggressive beer. Yeah. Now, today, it's just whatever. It's a calm beer. But I remember messing around with rye, and I just remember how that little spice, and it really cleaned up the finish of the beer. And, the hops I use in there, EKG, Fuggle, Cascade, dry hop with Amarillo. I mean, all low cohumulone hops, and I just kind of formulated that beer to have everything up front, aroma up front, bitterness up front, and that rye just cleaned your palate out. So when we did come out with that beer, people were really blown away. It was aggressive, and it did have that great aroma, but it was the finish that were just like, wow, I can drink another one of these because it was just so crisp and clean from the rye. And how I got the idea is, I mean, we used to drink a handle of bean before we went out in college, and rye whiskeys and stuff like that. Just that's what we did, and I just wanted to play with rye and. Put that thing on the map, and that's kind of like my stamp. I mean, if I'm going out doing collaborations around the world or whatever, I always, first thing I ask them, like, you guys ever brew with rye before? And 9 times out of 10, no. I said, okay, we're going to do a rye beer, and make sure you get some rice holes in your brewery before we start playing with them. But Rye Pale Ale by far is my little baby.
Man,
so
obviously you've done it long enough to know, but I find it very crazy that while you're adding these ingredients and you're adding up all your mixtures and stuff, that you're kind of having you have a grasp and an understanding on how the beer's going to taste before it's brewed in a way.
Without a doubt.
It's incredible that you can do that.
It's kind of funny because, like I said, I've never had a pilot brewery. I've always just gone,
this is it.
And this is it. And one of my like, oh shit moments was like when I formulated our brown ale, when we came out with Hop Karma. Well, actually, at first it was India Brown Ale, but then I got a call from Sam from Dogfish, but it was all cool. So anyway,
he's like, hey.
Yeah, no, it was all because they do what is their brown ale? It's Indian Brown Ale. Anyway, so when I did that, dude, I just nailed it. And even to this day, if it's 4 ingredients, if I'm just doing malt, water, yeast, hops, I'm getting 95% of where I want to go.
Yeah.
If it's something different, like, muscadine skins,
Right.
doing white chocolate moo-hoo or cinnamon rolled wake and bake and stuff. I've got to play around a little bit, but just imagining what that beer is going to taste like and then writing out that recipe, I'm usually in 90-95% range.
Gotcha.
Did you feel that way about Frenchies? Did you know it would turn out as good as it did?
Yeah,
Because you're talking about blueberry and
Frenchies
but
was
it's delicious.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to say
absolutely.
Frenchies was easy, but we brew a pretty damn good solid Berliner.
Yeah.
So just adding that other element of the blueberries was I wouldn't call it easy, but it just complemented that beer. Just like our watermelon goza, right? So, our Berliner and our goza is very similar. So, basically, that's the start. I know what those beers taste like. Now I just need that other ingredient, whether it be watermelon or blueberry, just something just like, the dreamsicle beers, right? So we've done peach dreamsicle. We're coming out with mango. We did strawberry. So it's all about the same base, but then bringing in those other fruits. Because I don't want to screw it up. We got a great base. So then we bring in the other fruits and go from there,
Just so the folks know that are listening, we're talking about sours, correct?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. The strawberry dreamsicle, the dreamsicle beers are not sours.
Okay.
The watermelon goza, obviously a sour. Frenchie's Blues is a sour.
Frenchie's,
I got off the rails.
No, you're fine.
No, it's all good. But people
Yeah.
that don't know, tell them about Frenchies.
Yeah, so we obviously have a relationship with the Atlanta Braves, right? So we have our brew lab in the stadium. So the first beer that we ever did, so here's a cool story. So bringing it back to Hopscutioner. So the brand new season, what was it? Are we on our fourth year?
I believe so.
I think it's fourth year. So the Braves obviously wanted to serve Terrapin at Truist Park, right? So we're like, okay, so we've got Hopscutioner. We've got a bunch of beers, but we're scratching our heads going, okay, if somebody buys a 16-ounce Hopscutioner and it's 95 degrees out and 98% humidity, someone's going to fall out,
They're
right?
cutting their neighbor's grass.
Right, they're cutting their neighbor's grass. So I came up with this cool idea. I said, well, why don't we make something close to Hopscutioner? We'll lower the ABV. We'll call it Chopscutioner for the Braves, right? Well, there's a little backstory on that, too, right? I actually didn't name that beer. Somebody in the company named that beer. So probably about 5 or 6 years ago, one of our sales guys had this, it was a cool idea at the time, right? So he took the Hopscutioner and he manipulated the logo to, how the Hopscutioner holds the paddle or the mixing paddle, the Belgian mixing paddle,
right.
the malt paddle, right? So he put the Braves tomahawk in there, and he proceeded to make stickers. And he was going to go to the Braves game, and he was going to stick these stickers around the stadium. This is when they were in Turner Field, right? So I don't know how we caught wind or whatever, and we're just like, the Braves probably have a lot more money than we do, and we will get sued to high heaven if that ever happens.
Right.
So we just shelved it, never heard about it again. Well, fast forward to 4 years ago, we're like, holy shit, we can actually actually make the Chopscutioner, right? So basically what I did for that beer, dropped that down to about 5% ABV, used all the same ingredients in the Hopscutioner, just made it lower volume of ABV so people can drink it out in the sun. But I wasn't satisfied. I'm like, we need a hook. We need something in that beer. I just don't want to make a baby Hopscutioner. I want to make a Chopscutioner. What can it be? And then I'm like, wait a minute. Baseball. Bats. Wood age beer. Ooh, bat chips. So we talked to the Braves, and they have a relationship with Mizuno. So Mizuno was nice enough to take bat chips from their factory and ship them to us.
No way.
And we aged the Chopscutioner on Mizuno bat chips.
That's freaking
and that was the
awesome.
first beer that we ever did with the
genius,
Braves.
man.
Was the Chopscutioner. And then, of course, Chipper Jones got into the Hall of Fame. So I did a Kolsch for Chipper, and it was called CJ10. And that went over very well. I love Kolsch beer, so that went over very, very well. And then I don't remember how the Jeff Francoeur thing took place, but I know Jeff is a big beer drinker. So I guess we got in touch with him, and I want to know if I'm going to be brewing with somebody, I want to know what their passion is, what they're all about, because I'm trying to wrap my head around what he wanted to do.
Right.
Well, he had the idea of doing a sour. I mean, I like sour beers. I'm like, Jeff, you want to do a sour? I'm like, I'm all about it, but they're pretty polarizing. And so we started talking, and he started talking about how he and his family own a blueberry farm in South Georgia.
Light bulb.
And I'm just like, Jeff, bingo.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen any of the footage and stuff like that, but yeah, Jeff and I, obviously went out to the blueberry farm and picked well, we didn't pick the blueberries, but we ate a bunch of them. But, got the blueberries from his farm and incorporated them in this beer. And it's funny because I tell this story all the time how Jeff was like, I know you did a beer with Chipper, but I've got a upstage Chipper here. I just want my beer to be at least a percent higher in ABV. So I think Chipper's clocked in at like 4.8, 4.9, and Jeff's at 5. So I always have to tell that story. But yes, Jeff Francoeur's beer is better, not better than Chipper's, but it is higher in alcohol than Chipper's beer was.
It'll get you in your neighbor's yard a little faster.
Yeah, a little faster. That's right. But dude, I mean, he has been so gracious, and if you guys watch Braves games, he's always talking about Frenchies, and
he's proud of it. Loves it.
Yeah. So I mean, he's always doing his part. But man, it's a great experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic to just be in the stadium, to have this marriage with the Atlanta Braves. It's just a great organization. I just wish, obviously this whole COVID thing didn't go down. But, now with Los Bravos, oh, man, that beer's fantastic. It's taken off like wildfire.
It is a good beer.
And I was just hoping that, we would have gotten a lot more samples with 42,000 people per game drinking Los Bravos. But it's actually taking off very well.
And if you hadn't had Frenchies yet, try it. And if you're like me, and I can't get a taste for sours. I love beer. I can't get a taste for sours. But I enjoy a Frenchies.
Yeah.
I don't know why
very good.
it's different. And I'm not saying that because Spike's sitting in front of me. I mean, honestly, I like Frenchies.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it's different for me.
And sours are they're hit or miss with me. I don't really go out and seek sours, but it's just like everything else. Is it a well-made beer or not? You can have a bitter beer, a malty beer, or whatever, but as long as it's well made, I mean, that's 3/4 of the battle.
That's right.
So for me, it's all about drinkability.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it was Garrett Oliver that said, if you can drink 3 pints of my beer and you're drinking that same beer, it's success. And that's how I like to do it, because we do make some hoppy beers. But it's all about balance, right? I want that balance. I don't want it to rip your face off, right? Or I don't want a malty beer that just tastes like mud. I want everything in balance. So that's what we strive for here.
I know you brushed on it earlier, but when you get down to the nitty-gritty and the ingredients and the chemical makeup of a beer, what makes a bad beer?
Man, raw materials would be my number one.
Right.
And the biggest raw material you're using is water.
Okay.
So your water source is
water source, yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm just going to pick on Florida because they've got some shitty. Well, it just smells weird and all that. And there are some great breweries down there, and I know they treat their water. But if you just took that weird water that they have in Florida and made beer, I don't think it would be that great.
And Florida's got some slimy water.
Yeah, it's just
so
it's really
weird.
funky. Yeah. It's really funky water. So you got to have potable water. And like I said, I'm not picking on Florida breweries because there's some great breweries down there because they treat their water. But then again, it's like how you storing your grain. Right, if my grain is sitting out on the dock back there getting rained on, and then I'm using it and it's all mold. So ingredients,
is a big key and stuff like that.
Humidity is a huge key,
Gotcha.
right? So we try to time our malt deliveries and stuff so it doesn't sit around for a couple months. So yeah, it's all about raw materials, right? So if you're starting out with the best ingredients, that's half the battle. But don't get me wrong, you got to know what you're doing. Absolutely. Right, I could take the best ingredients and put them in a blender and blend them up and taste like crap. Right. So you gotta know a little bit, I think.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So for the Terrapin fans out there, that are going to listen to this podcast. Can you tell them something they can get excited about, something coming in the future?
What's in the pipeline?
Yeah. So this year, so every year we obviously do wake and bake, and then we do moohoo. So straight up, you just get regular wake and bake, regular moohoo, and then we kind of put a special touch on it every year. Mm-hmm. So this year we have vanilla chai latte wake and bake.
Okay.
And then we have...
It's going to be so good.
Yeah, I can't wait. And then we've got Mexican chocolate moohoo.
Okay.
So this spicy, cinnamony chocolate
Gotcha.
moohoo that we're going to be doing. Okay. So those are the two big seasonals for the end of the year. And next year we're still kicking around some ideas. You know, we were really happy with the cryo beer that we did this year. So the only way that you can get Cryosphere is in our mix pack. So that's going to make a limited run. I'm sorry, did I say 12-pack? I meant 12-pack. Anyway, our mixed 12-pack comes. That's the bonus beer is the cryo, and we're going to do that in 6-pack next year.
Awesome.
But I think we're going to do another cryo beer, which I'm really excited about. Okay. So I'm kind of piecing that together. What else is going on? We're going to bring rye pale ale back, so that's really, really huge for me next year.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm just fooling around with those Kvik strains because they're fun to make. But yeah, that's about it for now. I think that's all I can remember.
Everything else is going to be a surprise.
Yeah, it's we kind of like our core lineup. I think we've got a solid lineup. Also this year, we just came out with Dancing Gummy Beer. Which was in the mix pack last year, our dispensary pack. The dispensary pack will come back, so you'll see Jazz Cabbage, Dancing Gummy, and then the Magic Brownie Ale, which are just... I love our brown ale. It's one of my favorites. So,
it's good.
That'll be coming back around. So I like the fall, man. I like brewing the bigger beers and the more malty and just kind of put meat on your bones kind of beer.
Exactly.
In the fall. So
and thank you for not making pumpkin beer. I appreciate
that.
Dude, our pumpkin beer was great.
For a while. It was good.
I really liked Pumpkin Fest. But I don't. I'm kind of glad we don't do that.
I
do that anymore as well. But. We need
You're
to brew
more
another
creative than just the pumpkin beer, and I like that.
Well, that whole story. So when the sales team or when we were trying to brainstorm about a fall beer, everybody went, back, 8-10 years ago was pumpkin beers, and me being a crispy boy that I am, I'm like, no, we need to brew a fest beer. We want pumpkin beer. We want fest beer. I'm like, wait a minute. How about Pumpkin Fest?
Right.
So originally that was a lager. So the first 2 years we brewed that. It was actually a lager, and then we changed it to an ale because it was just too long and too expensive to brew. So the last couple of years it was an ale, but yeah, I want to do another fest beer. Last time we did a fest beer, it was called Cuckoo Fest, which was pretty fun. We actually took grits from Helen. So they do that yearly Oktoberfest up in Helen. They're not doing it this year because of COVID, but there's a little mill up there that makes stone ground grits. Yeah. So I took the grits and we did Cuckoo Fest.
Oh, cool.
So that was fun.
I got you.
All right. Well, now look, everybody hear me out on this. We're talking about limited beers and fall season. Everybody's probably going to cringe really hard when I say this. Spike, you might kick me out of the building, but I don't know if y'all are big coffee drinkers, but I don't use creamer unless the peppermint mocha creamer is out. And Spike, I'm kicking it over to you.
Yep.
Could we possibly see a peppermint mocha fall craft beer? Could that ever work?
I'm not going to say no, but I've never had a good peppermint beer. It tastes like mouthwash to me. It's really weird. I mean, I did it the only time, and it was actually pretty good.
I imagine with the alcohol,
it's weird.
Yeah. A peppermint schnapps kind of thing.
But it tastes like mouthwash. But I'll tell you what I did do. So remember, I don't know where cask beer went, and I'm glad it's gone, but we used to have to do so many freaking cask beer. And the problem was, it was labor intensive, but B, nobody handled cask beer well. Right? So, people would roll it up to the bar and throw it up there and it'd get all cloudy and muddy and all this kind of shit. But I tell you what, I think it was Moohoo. So I took Moohoo in a cask, and I took York peppermint patties, and I broke up this whole bag of York peppermint patties and threw it in there. That was pretty good. But
Dude, you're onto something.
But like I said, I'm not against it because I don't want to toot my own horn. I think I can probably pull it off.
Yeah.
But it's every time I try one, I'm like,
Nope.
I think it'd be pretty cool.
Dude, if anybody can
but it's
perfect
polarizing.
it, you're the man.
Well,
You got it.
It's very polarizing. Just, some flavors are just like peppermint's one of those flavors. Cucumber is one of those flavors.
Oh, yeah.
So
Stuff with cactus in it.
Coconut is a very polarizing flavor too. That's. I don't know. Can I say that? I get in trouble if I telegraph.
We won't tell anybody.
Man,
We won't tell anybody.
You can say anything you want to.
The new Crunkles. Fuck it, I don't care. The new Crunkles.
What are they going to fire you?
Yeah, what are they going to do? I'll take my toys and go home. I won't brew it. The new Crunkles beer, Caribbean Crunkles. Guess what it's going to be?
Coconut.
Pina colada.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, so we're going to do
So the
new
Caribbean
so
Crunkles.
the next Crunkles. The next
It's
one
going to
coming
be
up.
Caribbean Crunkles.
When can I get that?
I don't know, because I think it's got to go in the Crunkles travel trunk. So we're going to pull one out, replace one, something.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, I just worry about making beer, man.
If you need some,
I understand, but it's fun to have things to look forward to. you
Yeah,
know?
it's going to be next year. I just don't know the schedule.
If you need some samplers,
Right.
Yeah.
we know
I'm
how to
pretty
get-
excited
we know how
about
to get
that.
here now.
I don't
why
hate.
wouldn't you be?
I don't hate coconut, and
I like it.
I spend my time in the Caribbean. I've got a buddy of mine who lives in St. Croix, so I go down and we sail and we drink a lot of pina coladas and a lot of rum runner things. And what's the one at Soggy Dollar? God, I'm drawing a blank because I'm drinking beer. But anyway,
A dirty banana.
No,
Those are
the one
popular
with
down
the. Oh man, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna be like, you dummy. Anyway, we drink a lot of that stuff.
I got you.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're pretty excited.
So we got a little inside
We
info on
got,
the.
we got a little info. on
Yeah,
that.
just a
That's
little
right.
info.
That's
Straight
right.
from the horse's
Yeah, because
mouth.
I've been on like Facebook Live stuff with Terrapin and stuff, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and then we get off the call and like, you're not supposed to tell anybody that. I'm like, I don't know.
Nobody
told
say,
me.
Nobody
Yeah,
listens
don't
to those
invite
guys
me to the.
anyway.
Yeah. Nobody listens to Spike anyway. It doesn't matter.
Or you can be like, nobody listens to this podcast.
Yeah, nobody listens
We
to
can
that
tell these
podcast
guys
anyway. Don't worry
anything,
about
so-
it.
Oh no, you guys are huge in Japan.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Right,
we're
right.
huge in Canada.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Awesome.
I just want to thank you so much for your time. I mean,
Is this it? It's over.
well,
How long are we
well,
doing?
We're an hour.
An
We're
hour.
over an hour in.
Well, listen,
Time flies when you're having fun, man.
it's not totally over
It's
because
not over yet.
because what we do next,
Oh,
what
boy.
everybody's waiting for, what we are ready and waiting for now is. Are you ready for 10 random questions?
Oh boy.
We have 10 random questions.
Is this like speed dating?
Spike?
A lot like that.
We have 10 random questions. We need to get an answer, yes or no. You have one mulligan. You can say no comment.
Okay.
But we would like for you to
You
answer
wouldn't.
them all.
You don't
okay.
need it. You don't
I
know.
got a feeling you're going to answer them all.
All right, so it's just yes or no?
Yes. Well, no.
Well, no,
just,
it's
not.
However
It's
you
not.
feel. So,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, all right.
We have no rules.
If you had one beer to drink for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Pilsner Urquell unfiltered in the basement.
All right. Good deal. Good
Wow.
deal. If you were to go in the very beginning and you found out that the Terrapin turtle was already copyrighted, what would have been your second mascot?
Koala bear.
Man, that's great.
Yeah. So
Love
that is
koala bears.
great.
I love koala bears, man. They're so cool and
Yeah.
fluffy and cuddly until they scratch
They
you with
would
their
tear your
big ass.
face off.
Yeah, they tear your face off.
So we were
Yeah.
close to koala. Rah.
Little lazy
Yeah.
tree huggers.
So awesome. Okay, what band, dead or alive, would you leave right now and go see?
The Doors.
I love it. Jim Morrison. It's great. All right. Who would you rather drink a beer with? Marilyn Monroe, Marilyn Manson, or Charlie Manson?
Oh, Marilyn Monroe. Can I take her home?
You can.
I mean, just to play chess. That's all.
Right. I think everybody else did. So that's fine.
Damn it! I'm always last.
Whatever.
Spike, what is something that you enjoy that other people would think was a little disturbing?
Macaroni and cheese and tuna fish, all mixed up together.
Man.
Really?
That's
Yeah, you don't like that?
I don't like tuna.
Flavor
love-
heavy.
I love-
flavored tuna or just
Just straight up, I may splurge for some albacore,
Okay.
but I just want the down and dirty powdered macaroni and cheese. Throw a can of tuna. Got your protein, got your carbs. I'm good to go.
I'm gonna give it a whirl.
Give it a whirl.
I'm gonna give it a whirl.
Okay.
I mean, I love fish. But I can't do the tuna thing, man.
Man.
And I love macaroni and cheese, but you just ruined it.
I'm
See that?
I'm so conflicted right now. I'm so conflicted.
I can't do it.
That was a good answer.
It was a great answer.
Great answer. Spike, who would you rather? Pamela Anderson, Gillian Anderson, or Lonnie Anderson?
Pamela Anderson before the diseases?
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson before the
when she was doing
yeah.
beer commercials.
Yeah. The Labatt. Was she Labatt's girl?
I think she was a
I
Labatt.
think she was
girl.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was on Tool Time.
Yeah.
She
Was
was,
she look
Hopefully
like
before Tommy Lee, because I can't stand up to that.
No.
There's, I'm not going to even go
No,
there.
no.
Spike, what's your jam?
My jam, like
Yeah, what's your jam,
Yes,
man?
sir.
Oh,
What's your
man.
go-to?
music.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh shit, dude! I mean, I'm man. I listen to Black Sabbath to Beethoven, but my jam, it's got to be Rush, man.
Okay.
I'm just those
Tom
guys.
Sawyer?
Yeah, no, Tom. That's
okay, I got you.
I mean,
one random question: what's your favorite Sabbath album?
oh god.
Bonus question.
Yeah, that is a really hard. We sold our soul for rock and roll.
Gotcha. I'm going to go with Masters of Reality.
Yeah,
Good stuff,
Good,
man.
I just speaking of Sabbath. So you know Zach Sabbath. You know Zach Wild.
Right.
So Zach just redid the first Sabbath album on vinyl, and then this little box set. So I got the CDs that just came in the other day, but I just ordered the gold vinyl import. It's called Vertigo.
Okay.
So I just ordered that, but I love Zach.
cool.
Zach is just badass.
Don't you just love old music stuff?
I do. Well,
the
I mean,
classics.
I grew up with Sabbath. I mean, so when I was in middle school, I was Sabbath. So my first show I ever saw, 1978, Judas Priest open up for Kiss, Springfield Civic Center. So yeah.
Was your face painted?
Nope. No, it wasn't. But it was funny because I booed. I booed Judas Priest off the stage, but I love, dude. I'm a huge Priest fan, but I was a little kid, so
Right.
fucking Halford come out with his fucking, his motorcycle singing Diamonds and Rust. I mean, it's
You're
just
like, get out of here.
yeah. But I'm a huge Maiden fan. But anyway, go ahead. I
All
digress.
right, here we go. Spike, how many times have you seen Beer Fest?
Oh, the movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I haven't watched that. No, is that Netflix thing?
No, it's a movie,
No,
Beer
it's an older
Fest.
movie.
Okay, here's your homework. When you have time to rot your brain for 2 hours, you got to watch Beer Fest.
Beer Fest. That's not the. No, I seen the Doug and Doug.
No, not that one.
No.
Which one is Beer Fest? Came out like 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it's got all the Super Trooper guys in it.
Yeah,
They
I have
they
seen
beat
that.
the Germans.
But it's been so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
I'm a music guy. I don't
They
give a
found-
shit about movies.
You know, really? You're not into movies?
Kind of. I don't
Yeah,
know.
same here.
If I got to waste some time, but I've got a pretty kick-ass stereo, so I'm always listening to tunes.
Gotcha,
I mean,
yeah.
I just had my amps worked on, and I'm so scared because they're just coming back in the mail right now. But yeah, my stereo is probably about a Honda Accord-esque. As far
Nice.
yeah, it's. I have a problem with. I just bought some new
That's a good
stereo.
problem.
I have a stereo crack dealer, and he just emailed me the other day, and he's like, dude, if you need some new speaker cables, Y-Wires is having a 50% off sale. I'm like, okay. I just spent $1,500 on new speaker cables. It's done.
Holy
I've got a problem. I really have a stereo problem. It is real.
Hey, it's a good
Yeah.
problem to have.
It is.
People will call you crazy, but your sound comes from your cables, man. That's where it's at.
Dude.
All in the materials, right?
My cable. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I have a problem.
I do too. It's okay.
Spike, if Terrapin was not available, what would you be drinking?
Rogue. Whoa, did I lose my voice? I'm a huge John Mayer fan, and it was kind of bittersweet. So I've been trying to do a collaboration with John Mayer for at least 10 years. Every time I would see him, I would give him shit. I'm like, when are we doing a collab? Well, he just retired. He retired about a year or so ago, and I finally got to go out to Rogue. I stayed at the inn, hung out with he and his wife for the whole weekend. We brewed a beer together, and it was so cool because, we're kind of, when you do a collab, kind of bounce ideas off each other, and I didn't know if he he wanted to do this, but I was like, John, I said, the first time I was ever at Rogue, when I graduated brewing school in 96, I went out the next year, it was like 97, because a buddy of mine who sat next to me was from Washington. So we did a little road trip, and we went to Rogue. And at that time, they had Brutal Bitter in the tanks. And I don't remember, someone gave us the Brutal Bitter coming off the tanks. So when I started doing a collab about, with John, I said, John, I said, what do you think about this idea? I said, we'll take the ingredients in Brutal Bitter, but we'll do a hazy IPA just for a goof, and we'll call it Brutal Bitterless. And he fucking loved it, and we went out there and did Brutal Bitterless, and it's pretty cool. If you go to, you can probably find it on YouTube, but it's me. I interviewed John Meyer, and we talked about the beer and just beer in general. And
we'll find it.
I'll definitely check
you'll
that
have
out.
to find it.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube. It's fucking email
We'll find
Spike
it.
and Rogue or something.
But
it's called, so I do this little show, it's called On the Road with Spike. So if I go out and do a collaboration, sometimes my camera guy will come with me and we'll do these little interviews and stuff like that. But it was pretty cool. I mean, John Meyer, he is my brewing idol. I mean, Big Hoppy Monster was actually, it was a knockoff of his Christmas beer, Santa's Little Helper. Or is it Santa's Little Reserve? I'm sorry, I'm drinking. But anyway, yeah. So that beer inspired me to brew Big Hoppy Monster.
Okay.
Santa's Private Reserve.
Thank
you.
Private Reserve.
I screwed that up. Sorry, John.
No, we got it. We got it.
Okay, good.
Number 10, last but not
Okay,
least. Good. What is the best brewing company in America today?
Lonnie Anderson. Oh, wait. The best brewing company in the world?
I don't know if I want to take that yeast on from Lonnie Anderson. Sorry.
Oh, man.
It's okay to say Terrapin.
Shameless plug. Okay.
I know. It is Terrapin.
Tossing a softball in there.
But I love so many breweries, and I've traveled all over the world, but Terrapin by far, but some of my like I said, I'm gonna kill this one. Pilsner Urquell, of course, but Fuller's. Holy cow! Going to Fuller's, go to West Fleteren, going to Duvel, just going and traveling and seeing these beautiful breweries. Oh shit, Sierra Nevada up the road. Holy, talk about Malt Disney World, dude. That place is insane. But yes, Terrapin number one. Always.
Number one. All right.
Always,
awesome.
always.
And would you say some of those breweries that you named off, they inspired you the most to go out on your own, or maybe not inspired, but influenced you today?
Without a doubt.
Right.
I mean, we've, we're supposed to go to New Zealand next year in February. I don't know if it's going to happen, but Owen Ogletree puts together this beer trip that we take every February. This year we were actually in France, but we've been all over the world. I think it was our 12th year this year, and just traveling the world and trying these beers from all these different breweries around the world. It's so inspiring, and just to eat the cuisine as well, to understand where they're pulling their flavors from and stuff like that. I think, that's what made me a better brewer, is by brewing with other breweries, but just traveling the world and trying these great beers all over the world. It's been a fantastic experience.
And that's got to keep the creative juices flowing for you.
Absolutely.
Keeps you motivated.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And just some easy stuff like just, COVID, right? Like all these people like starting to bake breads and get into cooking and all that. I took up fucking brewing kombucha just because it's fermentation. I'm like, I want to try this, and I love iced tea, right? So I love tea in general. So
How much harder could it be, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so nice because you don't have to clean everything. I mean, you do, but not like beer, right? So
I'm pretty afraid of booch. I haven't tried it.
It's fun. I mean, it's really fun, and just to watch that organism, the SCOBY, grow. But I've been doing stuff with like smoke tea and green tea and oolong tea and black teas, and just to make these things, and then all secondary fermentation in the bottle with like blueberries and strawberries, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of been getting into that. It's been fun.
You think sometime in the future maybe you would ever be brave enough to try to mix alcohol and tea and put Terrapin's name on it?
Well, I did. It was called Tea Time.
Oh, okay. I
So
gotcha.
I did do that Berliner. And I love tea. I'm actually, not that I'm a big seltzer guy, but I know that that Truly's coming out with this iced tea seltzer that I just want to try just because it's tea. I love tea.
Yeah.
So anything with tea in it, I will definitely try. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not afraid to do anything.
Right.
I mean, so you just never know. You never know what the next big thing is. Like, I mean, what was it? Didn't it take like 2 years for White Claw to even?
Oh yeah,
Who-
it was
I mean,
in
who
the
would
water
ever-
forever.
yeah.
Who would
Who'd
have
ever
thought?
thought that?
Well, great
Yeah.
idea, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
when you look at
absolutely.
something
It's
like
brilliant.
LaCroix or other, these beverages that are just
Right,
so
yeah.
light and refreshing. Okay, well, let's just mix
Put a little
alcohol.
alcohol
But
in it, yeah.
personally, I'd rather make a drink.
Yeah, same here.
That's just me because
Yeah.
I'm a brewer. I like flavors. I like making cocktails. So I'd rather have a gin and tonic or a vodka soda or something like that than a seltzer. Not that they're bad, but shit, they're right here. They're right in my cooler, and I'm sweating my ass off. And I'm on a boat. Oh yeah, sure, I'll take one.
Yeah.
Why
Right.
not?
That's right.
We're not
So,
taking the Hopsecutioner on the boat.
Probably not, unless you got your lawnmower with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you so much for your time.
Right
I
on.
cannot
Thank
even.
you
Yeah, we
enough,
can't
man.
thank you enough, man. I
Oh,
really
it's
do
been fun.
appreciate it. It's been a good time.
Awesome.
And we would love maybe to have you to be one of our repeat offenders. Come back later in the future and talk
No,
about some
I
new
w-
things with Terrapin.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
I want to travel. So
Yeah, no, yeah. When you get back,
I don't know what the
Oh,
hell's
sure,
down
man.
in Rome, Georgia, but
Yeah, hey, the Rome Braves is in. We can at least drive by the stadium, right? Nothing's going on there. So.
can we meet somewhere tropical?
Yeah.
I'm all
I don't have a
about
problem with
it.
Yeah, man.
We-
There's
we-
a Chick-fil-A or two.
Do they serve pina coladas?
Yeah.
We can make that happen. so.
Frosted lemonade.
Frosted
it's really
lemonade.
good.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right, now you're selling it.
Yeah. All right. For before we get out of here, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Nakahoma Nation podcast. These guys got a lot of things talking about sports, baseball, Braves baseball, which is near and dear to our hearts. Go check out Nakahoma Nation podcast. And also, again, thank you for the Canoe House in Rome, Georgia, for hooking us up with all this Haller Brothers gear. Haller Brothers is one of our favorites. Thank you guys for listening. And coming up soon, we got Joe the Hitman Elmore going to come in and talk about the fight game. He's 2-0 in the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
The bare knuckle badass.
Bare Knuckle Badass Joe Elmore. I want to see if we can change his
Crazy.
name. But we got that to look forward to. So, everybody, thank you for tuning in. And take care. And we will all see you soon.
Cheers, y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Spock.